Welcome to Always on the Smallville. Level 33.1, number 4, the new 52, level 33.1, number 4. That's right, we are live and in color. Well, we are in color, we're not live though. This is previously recorded. But I am joined by 4 special loyal patrons and members of level 33.1. Have Mr. Daryn Kirscht,
Ahoy, ahoy. Happy to be here.
Mr. Joy Dienberg.
Hey, how's everyone doing?
Mixing it up. Very nice, Joey. Mr. JJ Hodges.
Excelsior.
That's right. Today was Stanley's birthday, right? Or was that yesterday?
Yesterday. Yeah.
All right. Spider-Man stole that guy's sneakers. I mean, pizza.
He stole that guy's pizza.
And then we have Mr. Isaiah Goodridge.
Tell them the man in black sent you.
There it is. See, everybody needs a catchphrase.
Indeed.
Everybody needs a catchphrase. I think my catchphrase is going to be always hold on to Smallville. I think that's going to catch on.
Yeah. I think you've cornered the market on that one.
Yeah, big time. Well, other people have also cornered the market on it, but it's fine. Isn't that great? Like just you can't plan that. This organic self-promotion. I literally have Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum saying the name of my podcast on every episode now. It's fantastic.
I mean,
you couldn't buy that kind of press.
What's that?
Yeah,
JJ, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say they kind of did let you have it in that episode.
Yeah. I told them they could have it. So they still don't know it's from their show. One day they'll find out. But yeah. So hey, we got this is kind of a part 2-ish to our previous discussion because we got mostly new faces here in this conversation. Isaiah, you're on the last one, and hey, lots of DC Comics WB news. You're watching this, y'all know what it is. But James Gunn, director of Brightburn, is now in charge of DC Studios with Peter Safran, producer of Shazam, which I do like Shazam. You know, I haven't seen Brightburn. Has anyone here seen Brightburn?
Yes.
No.
I have not.
Okay.
I've read the IMDb synopsis, if that counts.
That's more than I have done. So JJ, what did you like it?
Kind of a complicated answer because I did, but I have no desire to watch it again.
Okay.
Because I'm tapped out with when it comes to Superman stuff or evil Superman stuff, I should say. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
I am wearing a Superman shirt, so you know. But it was one of those. It was one of those movies that I enjoyed. Don't think I'll ever revisit. You know, but mainly because I think they had a lot of great actors in it. But after the fact, I wasn't like craving a sequel or rewatching or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a fine one time kind of. My curiosity is done now. So
JJ, you've just described the movie Joker to a T.
Oh. I don't agree, but I understand that you feel that way. So
I'll
that's
take
fine.
that. I'll take that.
I've had many conversations with Lance about that.
You know, I think I said it was directed by James Gunn. That's incorrect. It was written by Ryan and Mark Gunn, who I assume are his brothers.
Question mark?
Who is his brother that's always Rocket Raccoon in the mocap?
Sean Gunn.
How many guns are there? Too many guns in this country. Am I right? Am I right? But David Yarovesky directed Brightburn. But it's one of those marketing things where it's like, from the mind of James Gunn, director of Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm like, right. The 3 people removed. Anyway, it's the evil Superman James Gunn film. So that's I don't know. I think that's what the shorthand is for it. But no, I haven't seen it. I like you, JJ. I was burned out on evil Superman stuff. But speaking of evil Superman stuff, Daryn, they've canceled the Snyderverse yet again. How do you feel?
Well, you know, I kind of made peace with the fact that we probably weren't going to be getting a sequel to Zack Snyder's Justice League. It just seemed like a lot of different things would have to happen that weren't happening behind the scenes. But, you know, so I made peace with it. It is what it is. Zach is doing his thing at Netflix, and it's probably all for the best.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like, it's a different lift to make Justice League 2 than release a film that was already shot and edited and all that stuff. So it's a totally different animal.
Right.
So it's not surprising now. Although I give the Evil Superman stuff a lot of flack there. I wasn't thrilled about the potential direction of some of those. I quite enjoyed Zack Snyder's Justice League and would have very much enjoyed a sequel. If nothing else, just to see those characters together again.
Well, it is your favorite DCEU movie, correct?
It is. It is my favorite DCEU movie. So, followed by Wonder Woman or Aquaman, depending on what day it is.
Fair.
And then Shazam by Peter Safran. So I'm very excited about the news. No, I just yeah, but we talked about last time. I there's so much there has been so much just uncertainty around everything. So it is like, on one hand, you're like, oh, it's nice. Now we know what we're doing. But it's kind of like it's not that it's cut and dry, because you literally just brought back Henry Cavill Superman, and then immediately you're like, oh yeah, we're not using him. I see no reason, because you could compare, and we'll jump around here, obviously, but I'm a huge Batman fan as well, as you can see. And like, when they made The Batman, right? Ben Affleck had stepped away, like he was in a bad place and didn't want to do it at the time, and who knows where he thinks about being Batman or not at his current stage. I'm sure he, lots of things go through his mind about it, because he'd always wanted to play Batman, and the Justice League stuff happened, and he has had personal life stuff. So all that happened, and then Matt Reeves comes in, who is a great filmmaker who wanted to tell a certain story, and so it's like, okay, well, Affleck's not going to be around right now. Robert Pattinson wouldn't have been my first choice, but he did great, and I love the Batman, the movie, right? So, okay, you told a younger Batman story, and it's separate than everything else. Okay, great. It's like Joker, like everybody's favorite movie, Joker. It's separate than everything else. But then you have James Gunn, who's like, I want to tell a younger Superman story. And you basically fire Henry Cavill, who was super excited about coming back and doing all these interviews. It's a very different situation. I'm sure some people in shorthand would say, oh, it's the same thing as the Batman and Affleck. It's like, no. They literally just brought Henry Cavill back. It's heartbreaking to see these interviews where he's like, I can't wait to come back, and it's been a long journey, and tell a hopeful story with Superman. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see it either, Henry. And then it's like, did you really need... There's going to be a lot of scrutiny about this new Superman movie, because it's like, did you need to erase, Henry Cavill Superman? Did you need to tell a younger story? And then there's all the other factors of like, are you really going to recast and reboot everything else? Because if you don't, you're going to be in trouble. Like, if you keep the Suicide Squad and some certain things, that's messy. So I like, as ridiculous as it all is right now and all this stuff, you either go 100% hard reboot and you don't bring back anyone or anything, or you keep the people who want to be around and you get rid of the people who don't, which kind of was what they were doing for the last couple of years. So there you go. Joey, what are your thoughts on all this, man?
Yeah, I was extremely excited when that announcement came from Henry, and I was just, and now, as a longtime sports fan who's had my favorite player on my favorite team traded multiple times in my lifetime, it's just doing it again. It's we're starting the rebuild and hoping for the number one pick, I guess, and hope we start out strong next time. But I really hope they go the way the Batman went, and honestly the way the Tom Holland Spider-Man went. No backstory, just jump in and start. I think that's the best way. I mean, everybody knows the origin. You can get into it more later. Henry can come back and tell him some important lessons, later on. But that's my overall thought. I was excited for, what was it, 2 months?
Yeah,
just about, yeah,
2 months,
maybe 2 months. Yeah.
I was ecstatic, and then just had it. It was all taken away.
The best thing about Black Adam was waiting for Black Adam 2. I was like, all right, Ryan, we're gonna get the movie that I wanted to see originally now, and now we're not. So thank you, WB. Well, but Daryn, bounce back to you for a second. Like, Henry Cavill showing up at the end of Shazam. Black Adam. What?
I was gonna say
he did show up at the end of Shazam. So, Did you see that as a continuation of the Snyder Superman? Was that its own thing? That was a very big point of conversation online, which I think was a lot of noise about just conversation over nothing, because it was a great moment, but it was such a short scene. But what did you see that as?
Oh, that's a tough question because I think myself and a lot of other people were probably really confused, and we didn't know at the time. We didn't know if it was. I mean, I kind of was thinking it wasn't going to be Snyderverse related. It was going to be more of the DC continuity that they kind of established, uh, different from Zack Snyder's Justice League, right? Like from this Snyderverse per se. Like it was going to be more in line with like Shazam or Aquaman, like that kind of tone, that kind of stuff, right? And so I kind of thought it'd be different. Obviously, hearing the John Williams music, the suit and how it looked in that Black Adam scene kind of made me think they're going a little bit more of a traditional route, more in line with like Christopher Reeve. But but I was excited for it. I mean, I was happy for Henry. I might not have been the most excited person in the world like some other people, but I was happy for Henry. And I because that's what he wanted, and he seemed truly excited about it. And it is kind of sad that we're not getting more of that. But at the same time, I also understand that James Gunn has a universe to build, and in order to do it properly, to do it right, to do it the right way, he has to kind of clean the palette and do it from scratch, like fresh. And if we look at the previous regime, multiple previous regimes, right? They're taking on these characters that have already been, you know, handled in different ways and trying to, tinker with it and change it up and try to utilize those characters and the actors in those roles in a different tone, in a different way that it wasn't necessarily cast for. And you kind of saw mixed results with some of it, I think. And it can be a tough thing. So
I do not like you.
Right? Yeah, I still joke about that sometimes and how silly it is. But
there's so many lines from Justice League that I'll just quote probably the rest of my life because they're just ridiculous.
Yeah.
I still love it. I'm not gonna lie. I love that line.
So JJ, are you excited about the Gunverse?
Yeah. I actually am.
Which is it's a threatening name, isn't it? We should probably
we'll change that later. But no, I really am. But I did feel really bad for Henry Cavill because I listened to the Happy Sad Confused podcast like right after Black Adam came out, and he was super excited because he just left The Witcher, which, depending on what article you're reading, may or may not have been his choice. I've heard mixed things. I don't really care. I don't watch that show. I'm glad that people like it. I'm sure it's good, but not my thing. And I don't know. From where I'm sitting, I'm like, I know what's going on. I read all these reports and everything, but from an outsider perspective, it's just such a bad look. Like, you let him come back, and then you let him go. I mean, it's on a smaller scale. It's like the Batgirl film all over again. It's like you let's make this movie, then cancel it for no reason other than a tax write-off. Whereas Ezra Miller, who was very publicly in the news in a bad way for almost a year, but we're going to keep his film. It's just like, I talked to my sister, who again is pretty in touch with these things, and she goes, "Are they just idiots over there?"
Well, JJ, let's stop for a second. Like Michael Keaton's back as Batman in The Flash. You can't cancel a movie with Michael Keaton as Batman in it. You can't just write that off with a tax write-off.
I guess not. But
Michael Keaton wasn't Batgirl as Batman, for people who don't know what we're talking about.
Well, that's another thing. I said, okay, you had a woman of color as Batgirl, you had J.K. Simmons as Commissioner Gordon, you had Brendan Fraser, who's back on the rise, and you had Michael Keaton coming back as Batman. And you still canceled the movie. Like, it just sounds like, like, I don't know.
What?
Like, it's just like the dumbest decision in the world.
So, hot take. Oh, no, go ahead, finish.
No, go ahead.
Oh, no, I'll just say hot take. I actually don't mind that they canceled that movie if they had not decided to do a hard reboot. Because I think part of what I was saying in the last one from number 3 was like, it's very possible. I think it was very possible to maintain elements of Snyderverse that worked while also introducing newer elements. So like keeping Henry Cavill, for example, keeping Jason Momoa, even Gal Gadot, Gal Gadot, sorry, all those things I think could have worked. I realized Ben Affleck, for example, I don't even know how old he is, like 50 plus probably. So he's probably not going to want to be locked down for 5-6 movies as Batman. But if, when I heard about the reports of, okay, they're making this Batgirl movie and it seems like it's in the Snyderverse, but then it's Michael Keaton as Batman, I didn't know how to take that. And so when I first heard the report that, okay, they're canceling the movie, I was like, okay, well, I guess they're canceling that in favor of, we're going to like fully take a step back, streamline what we want to keep and what we don't want to keep. But now that, everything has been canceled now, I think, yeah, they could have just released it on HBO Max, call it, Elseworld story of Batgirl, and, call it a day.
Yeah, because it was much like Zack Snyder's Justice League. It was done. You shot it. Yeah. It's like it's there.
I don't know. It's a whole bunch of business decisions that are silly.
Yeah.
JJ, to your point, I think canceling the movie starring the guy who's a criminal might be the best course of action. If you had to cancel one, I like I said this last time with Isaiah and everybody else was on here, like just cancel them all at this point. I'm like, what is the point? Like I'm just saying, like just make your money back on your tax write-off, Warner Bros., because it's just going to continue this discourse for like another couple years and more chaos. Just shut it all down. Get your millions and millions of dollars back in your tax write-offs, because then you don't have to pour money into like marketing and invest. Can you imagine the press tour for the Flash? I mean, we've been talking about this for 2 years now. The press tour for the Flash is going to be a nightmare.
It's going to be insane.
Are they they're just going to keep Ezra Miller off of it? Like, what are they going to? I don't know. So that is. Oh man.
Well, plus, it's not like we've never seen a weird reshoot before, right? Like we've never seen weird reshooty looking things.
You had all this time, right? I mean, literally, the Flash was supposed to. Well, if you look at the original DCEU plan, it was supposed to come out in 2018. But the current, whatever it is now, the Flash was supposed to. I think it was supposed to come out in 2021.
2021, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now it's coming out in 2023. Are you telling me you couldn't deep fake Grant Gustin on him?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, come on. And he's in there twice. It's 2 characters. It's just like you did this to yourself. I don't know. So it's rough. And look, no one is wanting to see Michael Keaton come back as Batman more than me. Which is why I was super excited that potential Batman Beyond film, which apparently got canceled as well. I don't understand.
They could still do. That's Elseworlds, man. Like, come on.
Well, not even Elseworlds. You just make it. And this, Lance and I had argued about this a lot over the years. But it's like, just make Batman 3. Like, it's after Batman Returns, and it's what people will understand. Like, they could make Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire now, and people will get it. They could make the Amazing Spider-Man 3, which they probably should. If you're gonna have if you're gonna here's an open question. Here's a slight pocket conversation. If you're gonna make a Spider-Man for Tom Hardy's Venom to fight, should be Andrew Garfield, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, agreed.
100%.
We're all common ground, everyone. Because what else? What are you gonna do? Like another Spider-Man at that point?
I would accept another Spider-Man. I don't think this is who it is, but I would accept another Spider-Man if it was in Peter B. Parker from like Into the Spider-Verse that was played by Adam Scott, because he's in the Madam Web movie, but apparently, and I don't know if it's true or not, this is what I read, that he's Ben Parker, which I think is silly when you have Adam Scott, who literally looks like Peter B. Parker. He doesn't really, but just make him this whole conversation can be very frustrating.
That's a whole mess. Talk about that. I mean, that Sony's got their own issues with Spider-Man over there. Like, you can't have a Spider-Man in your Spider-Man movies. Like, they still have Kraven the Hunter coming out. Like, guys, you saw what happened with Morbius. Like, Venom is an anomaly. I don't understand how Venom makes like $800 million, right? And it's like, and I don't know what the sequel made, but they're terrible movies, both of them.
They're awful.
Yeah. And then Black Adam, the Black Adam is way better than either Venom movie. Like, it's like, I'm just saying, if you slap a Marvel red rectangle on Black Adam, it would have made $750 million, no question.
Oh yeah.
It's because he didn't have Eminem. That's why.
Yeah, Venom. In association with Marvel Studios. That's all you need, really. You don't even need the Marvel. Anyway, I don't know how we got on that. Yeah, so Andrew Garfield should be that Spider-Man.
Yes.
And let's not make no mistake about it. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is a terrible movie, but Andrew Garfield was great. The first one, I was in a tough spot with the first Amazing Spider-Man because I'm like, well, you're not Tobey Maguire. What are you doing here, right? And then he was good in it. I love Emma Stone. She was great, obviously. And then the second one's just a horrible movie. And then that led to Tom Holland because they really had no choice but to set the reset button, which led to No Way Home. So I guess maybe one day we'll get a Crisis on Infinite Earths movie. And
after the universe is reset 14 more times.
Yes, yeah. I mean, you can't even
exactly.
DC's gotten really out of control because then what are you gonna? You're gonna have Brandon Routh and Henry Cavill and whoever the new Superman is.
I mean, because if these two Flashes have already met, and both are going to have their own flashpoints and their own crises, what's the point of a multiverse at that point?
Well, what is the point of any multiverse when you're just they did Crisis on Infinite Earths on the CW, and they're like, okay, we're on one Earth. Oh, and then all the others came out again. I'm like, no, you can't do that. At least DC Comics, it took them a few years to bring back other Earths. Right? This was like literally the ending montage. It's okay. Smallville didn't get erased, or maybe it did. I didn't see them at the end of Crisis on Infinite. Whereas all I needed was like Tom and Erica's and like a couple of little kid extras running around, looking out a window, and that would have been like, oh, it's still there. But I don't know. But Doom Patrol still exists and Swamp Thing, great.
Swamp Thing, which was canceled way before.
That's an Earth. I haven't watched it, but I've heard it's good, and I've always liked the Swamp Thing character. Did anyone ever see the Swamp Thing cartoon when you were a kid?
I've not.
No.
Maybe I'm a little older than most of y'all, but like, I had all these Swamp Thing toys. There was a Swamp Thing cartoon. There was obviously the movie.
Was it on DC Universe?
That one wasn't. No.
A lot of things were on DC Universe, but maybe not that one. That was it's like a Mattel toy tie-in, I think. Just literally the song "Wild Thing," right?
It was Swamp Thing.
I'm like, wow, they either paid a lot or somebody got sued, and maybe that's why we don't see it anymore. But that was Swamp Thing. So I had a bunch of. I don't know why I like Swamp Thing toys when I was a kid. I was anyway. Swamp Thing's great. And a couple of movies. Had a TV show like in the late '80s, early '90s. So like he was around. I mean, he's a pop culture thing. People know what Swamp Thing is, but for whatever reason, that show didn't catch on.
Well, the first movie was directed by Wes Craven. I think it was one of his first movies.
Yeah,
it's actually not bad. It's very, very dated, but it's not bad.
Adrienne Barbeau is in it, the voice of Catwoman in the DCEU, and many other things, obviously. But yeah, she's a love interest, and
she was replaced by Heather Locklear in the sequel, which I didn't see. But
I never seen the sequel. I feel like the sequel might be like more like tongue-in-cheek cheesy. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
The vibe I got from the poster, JJ.
Yeah, it's him carrying her like Bride of Frankenstein kind of thing. But it was like I was on a huge Swamp Thing kick in like 2011 when the New 52 started because Scott Snyder was writing it, and I thought it was really, really great. I highly recommend the Scott Snyder Swamp Thing run. So I didn't see the live action show. I saw little bits of it on YouTube, and I knew of the cartoon. That's where I found out about the cartoon. My girlfriend's dad at the time was talking about it. He's like, oh yeah, that Swamp Thing, and he was doing Swamp Thing, you make my heart sing, and I was like, what the are you talking about? And then I found it later, and I was like, oh, okay, so he wasn't totally off his rocker.
Oh man. Well, so of this, is that a strong? Daryn, what do you think? Do you think she cancel all the films? Is that a strong, crazy thing to say, or
to cancel all the films moving forward and just
tax write off all of them?
I mean, I can understand the concept of it. I don't know. I mean, I guess I see both sides of it. I don't know. I mean,
of the slate, which were you looking forward to most of the slate that's coming out?
Probably The Flash, just because, and as weird as this to say, just because of what I've heard about the movie. Obviously,
I've heard it's really good too.
Yeah.
You know, like Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck being in as Batman, and obviously you have Supergirl in the movie, and like that would be really cool to see her in the movie. So I mean, it's, you know, probably that one, but even then I wasn't like over the moon excited for it or anything, you know.
Yeah, I mean, Affleck and Keaton back as Batman. I'm like, well, those are my two favorite Batman. Like, how can I not Like, that is such a double-edged sword, right? But I might have to agree with you. What do you say, Joey?
Yeah, it has to be like one of the best DC movies ever if they're hanging on this hard.
Yeah.
Like,
it's so good, Joey. They're going to reboot the universe and erase it immediately whenever it comes out. That's how good it is. That's why it makes no sense. Anyway, no, Blue Beetle. Isaiah, you excited for Blue Beetle?
So maybe I don't know. To be honest, I think I'll have to see the trailer, because when the set pics released of the suit, and everybody was like losing their minds. Oh, this is so comic accurate! Wow, it's so cool. I'm like, it looks kind of plasticky, at least to me. So I think hopefully once I see the special effects and everything compiled into the real movie, like for a trailer, maybe I'll be more excited. But other than that, I think I'm probably most excited for Aquaman 2, just because I think that's definitely one of the more consistently good projects of the DCEU.
Just like Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, about that.
The first movie was so good. What could they possibly do wrong the next time? I mean, the one I'm least disappointed about being canceled is Wonder Woman 3. I mean, I'm sorry, but Wonder Woman 1984 was not good, so I was not clamoring to see a third one. Although I was really hoping it'd be called Wonder Woman 2000 and be set in the year, and she fights the Y2K bug or something. That's the thing, right? You tell me, like, okay, if Zack Snyder ever came back to DC, I would say direct a Wonder Woman movie, because Wonder Woman is just amazing in his films, and she's great in the first Wonder Woman film, obviously, as well. But I want to see her kill things from other worlds before, which we never fought. Freaking the cheetah, is that what she was talking about?
Like, Ares, she killed Ares too.
Yeah, I mean, he's like a guy. I want her fighting a dragon. I'm serious. Like Greek mythology, hydras and monsters. Like, that's like the New 52 run of Wonder Woman, the first arc.
Yeah,
so good, and it's all this weird surrealist stuff. And just go into that more than anyway. But they're gonna get a new Wonder Woman. They're gonna all restart everything, I assume. So maybe we will see that. But that's what I was I was hoping, like, okay, we'll fill in some gaps of, because obviously she hasn't been doing anything since 1919 for 100 years, right? So maybe she was off in other lands, in other dimensions, in the underworld fighting. But no, she was just in shopping malls and stuff. I gotta tell, the one I'm probably I'm surprised that I'm least excited about is Shazam 2, because I really liked the first Shazam, but like everything I see from this one, I'm like, I just threw a plus. Whoa! Like, what do you like? How old is Billy Batson now?
Yeah, he's 18, 19.
I was about to say, yeah, had to be a young adult.
It's one of those where they, I don't know, like James Cameron. It was funny. My buddy of mine kind of, because James Cameron was like, well, I filmed Avatar 2 and 3 at the same time because I didn't want these teenage characters to age out of their roles. And it's like, okay, but one of them was played by Sigourney Weaver. But anyway, but I haven't seen the movie. I have zero interest in it. But again, it's like it's kind of like that with Shazam. I feel like you should have just Harry Pottered it and just filmed a bunch of them, because now it's like, well, now they're getting ready to go to college. And,
Hey, well, so Asher Angel, that's the actor who played Billy Batson. He is 20 years old right now, so he's still younger than Tom Welling was when he was playing a 14-year-old.
Oh,
but how old is Billy Batson supposed to be, though?
Like 13. He says basically 15 the whole movie.
No. Okay, we'll see. And it's strange that they kept the same actress as Mary Marvel in her
Black human
form. Right, you want to call it, in her adult form, which she's beautiful. Great to see her in more of the movie. I'm just saying, like, everybody else changes their identity and she doesn't. I thought that's kind of weird. I don't know. Like, I was like, for Shazam 2, I was like, oh, cool, he'll fight Black Adam. No, apparently not. Or maybe he'll fight Mr. Mind, the little cricket that talked to Mark Strong at the end. Nope, none of that. It's Helen Mirren's great, but apparently they made up this villain for him to fight. I'm like, there's comic books. You could, what are you, Lucasfilm now? You don't know the comic books and novels exist? So that's where I am with that. I mean, Blue Beetle was on Smallville. I remember loving that episode more for everything around the Blue Beetle. I mean, he was like the MacGuffin, but obviously it was Booster was the name of the episode. Like Booster Gold's and that guy was great as Booster Gold. The guy was fantastic. That was like the most like Clark Kinney episode where he's like, "Oh, I had a milkshake and I used the bathroom." I'm like, "That's great, so good." Tom Welling should have been doing that for years on their show. He was so good at it too.
Directed by Tom Welling, I might add.
There we go. Written by Jeff Johns, I might add.
Hey.
And
hashtag it's all connected.
Yeah. Well, I'm just the Blue Beetle. He didn't look great in that, did he? Though.
No.
Not at all.
No, it was weird. I never cared for the Blue Beetle of it, but Booster Gold was so great that I was like another character that should have gotten a spinoff. Like that guy, I don't remember his name right now, but
it's like Eric something, I think, right?
Yeah, it could be. Who played Booster Gold? He absolutely should have gotten a spinoff.
Well, they were talking about a spinoff, with the Sci-Fi Channel or something.
Yeah, I remember that.
That would have been great. Like a never-ending list of characters who should have gotten a spinoff. No, maybe not the Blue Beetle, but everybody else. Everybody else would have been good. Oh man,
I'm just curious if it's even possible in today's climate and the way people see movies and go to movies, if starting a successful shared universe is going to be successful, especially with how trigger happy DC is with their top people. I mean, you have a few movies that don't perform as well as they should, and pull the trigger again and move on. And I don't know, I just don't, you have to have an Iron Man as your first movie. You have like your the first one has to be like that to make people want to come and see the sequel of it. I feel like.
Well, that's what 2011's Green Lantern was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Oops!
Oh, stop.
That's what the ideal was, right?
I know.
Yeah.
They were like, "Oh, he's a fun guy. It's gonna be great. Everybody's gonna love it."
Well, but Brandon and what Superman Returns was supposed to be the Hulk of that as well. Kind of just like this thing that kind of maybe happened.
That's complicated. That's way too complicated.
Wasn't the ring supposed to fly by?
Well, there was a scene in Green Lantern that they never filmed, but it was in the script where it's going around scanning people to see who's worthy. And he was supposed to go fly by Clark Kent. And one of the main reasons I understand that they cut it was like, well, who's going to be playing Superman?
Right.
Brandon Routh or that guy who lost out to Brandon Routh, Henry Cavill. Like, that was the cycle. That's crazy. Isn't it crazy? It's like Henry Cavill, man. It's another, bring it back to when we kind of start. I feel like he tried out for Superman in like 2003 or 4, right? For Flyby with McGee, and J.J. Abrams or whatever it was called then, whoever's in charge. And then he lost out to Brandon Routh. I'm like, okay. He kind of like Pierce Brosnan and Timothy Dalton or something, right? And like, oh, okay, well, I didn't get the part. And, and then he gets the part like 10 years, literally 10 years later. And then he gets to play it for like 2 or 3 years. And then just everything falls apart. And he's like, well, I gave it a go. And then literally, because think about it, 2022 is the year that we're in for the next few days. He had not played Superman in 5 years. Right? I mean, the Justice League, came out in 2017. He hadn't played. He did all the Justice League reshoots in 2017. He hadn't played proper Superman in 2016.
Right.
And here we are years later. He's like, okay, I'm coming back. And that's, man, what a journey.
It's literally the Andrew Garfield journey, just for Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
Just really spread out.
Yeah.
But we'll see him all in Christ on Infinite Earths coming in 2038. He'll be Earth 2 old Superman, I guess. So anyway, that's rough.
I was also almost getting excited too for the concept of we're just going to make movies. If we use the same actor, we do. If we don't, we don't. I was kind of starting to enjoy like, okay, the Batman can exist, Joker can exist. All making all these different things, and now that they're going down that path, I'm like, are you going to shut down the Batman sequel? I mean, there's no promes.
I think those should be safe because they're like pocket universes, right?
Yeah,
like Joker 2 is happening; it's filming now. And...
From what I understand, the Batman and its spin-offs, because they haven't filmed it yet, but they're finishing up the scripts at least for the Penguin TV show.
Okay.
with Colin Farrell.
Which before I saw the Batman, we're like, why are you wasting my time with that? And I'm like, I can't wait. Give someone good product, and they'll be excited about your next product.
Yeah,
right. And that's part of it. I can't wait for that Green Lantern show. I don't know about y'all, but
Well, you know, the one that they announced like 100 years ago, and
8 years ago,
2 of them, and then never did anything with.
That's never happening. That's the Green Lantern show has never happened. Which is even more frustrating of the fact that, like, because it exists, apparently, allegedly exists, John Diggle could not become John Stewart in Green Lantern on the Arrowverse, and they couldn't use John Stewart Green Lantern in Zack Snyder's Justice League because of this hypothetical show, which is not connected to anything. What is the point? You have multiple Flashes, multiple Batman. You're gonna have a movie with 2 Batmans in it, and you have the Batman, and you have Joker. It's just like, what are you doing?
And you have multiple X-Men movies, and one Marvel movie where Patrick Stewart has been killed 4 times as Professor Xavier,
and people don't care.
Like, they're like, "Oh,
it's
he's in this
fine.
one, cool."
Yeah,
So Warner Brothers, like, get whatever stick is up your ass, pull it out, and just let It's one of my big gripes with Titans is the amount of times, like, you could, and I really like the Titan show. You could take a shot every time they say Bruce Wayne or Batman, get very drunk within 2 episodes, but you never actually see Batman. You see Bruce Wayne, who's played by one of the worst actors in the world.
But people will get confused.
I'm confused as to how he was cast. He's terrible. Like, he's channeling Adam West for no freaking reason.
Like, when a new one of these movies comes out, every once in a while, somebody, as the nerd in the office, I have to explain to a few people, like, oh yeah, no, that's different, and they're like, oh, okay, and people move on. Like, people don't care.
I gotta tell you though, it is exhausting trying to explain this stuff to the common man and woman out there, because they're like, wait, is Christian Bale not Batman anymore? I'm like, oh man,
Christian Bale, yeah.
I gotta get you up to speed, man. Yeah. So get with it. I love those Chris Nolan movies.
Oh, and unfortunately, like, I'd say, like, the commoners out there, they don't know that the Snyderverse happened. They think that the Christian Bale movies were the last Batman movies that happened. Yeah. They're like, maybe. Oh, is this Heath Ledger's origin story?
Well, I guarantee you there are people out there that think Joker, like the Joaquin Phoenix Joker, is the origin story.
Yes.
For Heath Ledger. I'm like, well, sure. I'm very excited for Joker too. I think it's brilliant to bring in Lady Gaga and make it a musical. I'm like, because just throw everything out there, see what happens. I think I'm very excited for it. And I don't know, have we seen the last of, I don't know, the Suicide Squad, Peacemaker? We'll see what happens with James Gunn being in charge of those projects. But, like, have we seen the last of Harley Quinn's of Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn? What do you guys think?
I think you have to.
Yeah.
Like,
I hope not, though.
Yeah, I think I would actually boycott DC if Margot Robbie and, like, the cast of the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker was.
You would boycott DC? That's very hateful.
I would.
You can't be doing things like that. You have to accept everything they give you without question.
Oh, absolutely not. I did that for too many years already.
That's all of our problem. I think that's the problem. Wait, no Lady Gaga though? Well,
listen, I don't want to ever tamper someone's, like, enthusiasm for a project, but, like, do I even want to? But knowing that Joker has a sequel in the first place, I was not on board, because I was like, the way that movie ended, it didn't need a sequel. Then making it a musical, I'm like, okay, sure, ooh, creative, I guess, but, like, do I really want to watch a musical Joker? Probably not. And then, sure, I appreciate the casting of Lady Gaga. I think that's super interesting, because I did my parents watched House of Gucci, and I sat adjacent. I'll just phrase it that way. But
oh man, that's a Harley and Joker movie now, because Jared Leto's in it.
Oh yes, that's right.
How about that?
Yeah.
Oh man.
So yeah, I will watch Joker 2 when it comes out on HBO Max, if that platform still exists.
I believe it's going to be called Max.
Oh yeah, that's just the worst. Just the worst.
What's interesting to me about Lady Gaga's Harley Quinn is it kind of reminds me of way back, right? But like in the 90s when they were gonna make Batman 5, they talked about like who's left of the villains. They talked about like Harley Quinn because she was new from the animated series at that time. But they're gonna make her like the Joker's daughter or the Joker's wife or something. And Madonna was like one of the top people, and that kind of makes me think of the same level of casting, or just that idea. Like, 'cause she's the modern day Madonna, right?
Yes, but I prefer Lady Gaga. Even back then.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think I agree.
That's Weird Al Yankovic's wife, right?
According to that movie.
You know, speaking of Lady Gaga, the Bradley Cooper, I would love to see him in one of these movies. I guess.
Oh, but
now I think about it, he's Rocket Raccoon. James Gunn, give him a call. He'd be a great Hal Jordan. You know,
no, he almost got Hal Jordan.
It was him and Ryan Reynolds there, right? In the
and Martin Campbell, who directed it, wanted Cooper, but the studio went over his head and cast Ryan Reynolds.
The studio.
Yeah.
Way to go, WB.
They're geniuses over there. What are you talking about?
Listen, I like Ryan Reynolds for doing Ryan Reynolds things, but Bradley Cooper would have been 1,000% a better casting choice for that.
I agree.
Can you see him saying, "Oh, there's water in the tap"? Bradley Cooper. They would have changed the script for that. So they got to get him in something.
Hope so.
Zach, have you in the last one, did you guys mention your personal friend and James Gunn's personal friend who is going to be who is already out there fishing for at least give me a call?
Yeah. Michael Rosenbaum will not be Lex Luthor in the DCEU. Like that, I mean, it's not gonna happen. Like, I mean, well, why not? See, if we took the approach we were taking like 2 months ago, where it's like, cast anyone as anything and see what happens. Sure, right? But if they're going to do a hard reboot of the universe, the very last thing you need to do is hey, you know that guy from that TV show? Let's make him Lex Luthor. Which, look, I would love to see Michael Rosenbaum as Lex Luthor again, but it's not going to happen. It's not going to. And like, I'm sure people are shocked and surprised. And like, I'm the Smallville guy, and I'm like, no, I don't. Like, I don't want to see him against who knows who's playing Superman. Like, unless it's Tom Welling, I don't want to. Now, I think I said this. I might have said this last time, Isaiah. But I think if it did come up, we were talking about it. If you're going to bring back Brandon Routh as Superman in something, make Michael Rosenbaum that Lex Luthor, because you kind of need a Lex Luthor for Brandon Routh, because you know what I mean. And at that point, because Brandon Routh is already supposed to be Christopher Reeve anyway. So what are we even doing at that point, right? So I think that would be the only time, unless obviously there's some kind of Smallville thing, which there will never be outside of the animated show. I know there's these interviews going around with Alan Miles, and people are like, would you ever do a Smallville thing? Like, no, I get, but when you live in the age of Spider-Man No Way Home, I guess people think anything's possible, right?
Yeah.
But then, like, go ahead.
Oh, well, in Crisis, when all the worlds got rearranged, he got his powers back. That's the thing.
Much to Tom Welling's chagrin.
Although he said he would like play Superman now on these podcasts. I'm like, yeah, can't have your chance, Tom.
My opinion on him is changing 1,000% with the podcast. It is just night and day from what I thought he was.
No, that's the thing about Talkville. I mean, like, it's like Tom Williams there talking about like giving you like insight into like extras in the background and character motivations and production techniques. I'm like, wow, like we should have known, but we were so locked into like, you didn't put on a Superman costume that we didn't realize like this guy was working hard for 10 years, like in every scene, working 7 days a week, 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Yeah, I just listened to the finale episode where they were saying, where one of the callers was, oh, what'd you do to celebrate? And Michael's, I went to Paris. I did all these things. And Tom's just like, I went home.
That's what works with those guys, though. They're so different.
Right?
Oh yeah. And I've said this before, like on actual Smallville episodes, but it's like, like Clark and Lex, like, that obviously it's tragedy happened to them, but it's so cool to see Tom and Michael be like, BFFs in real life. Like that's so cool. It just adds another layer of enjoyment to the show, just knowing these guys are still out there doing it. So, but no, people are saying Michael Rooker for Lex Luthor. I know they're just looking at the James Gunn casting sheet. James Gunn is not Chris Nolan in many ways. And although he has a lot of the same actors he might work with, he doesn't like always cast the same people. So it's not going to be Chris Nolan. I can pretty much tell you what 75% of the cast is for his next movie based off or his other casts. I don't think we're going to see Michael Rooker as Billy Zane. That's my number one choice. No, that's mine. So be nice.
So here's an interesting question then that I've been thinking about, and definitely would want all of you guys' input. Who then do you have in mind to play Superman? Because I have a name, but I want to throw it out like after you guys, unless you need time to like think about it.
I was actually thinking about this. I'm glad you asked it, because the names I see thrown out there make me feel so old, because I have no idea who these people are. And I'm like, who? Like Sean Pitsweat or something like that. And then there's Jacob Elrond of the Village or something. I don't know. Whatever his name is. I'm just like, who the hell are these people? And on the one hand, that's a good thing, because in 1977, 78, nobody knew who Christopher Reeve was. In 2000, 2001, we didn't know who Tom Welling was. We didn't know who Brandon Routh was. I didn't know who Henry Cavill was. So that's a good thing. But on the other hand, it's also like, I feel out of touch when people are like, "Oh, aren't you watching Euphoria? It's great." And I'm like, I rewatch Batman the Animated Series, man. Like I get high and turn that on a Friday night. So I don't know what you're doing.
Oh God. Yeah, I agree though. I mean, I just, especially in terms of not watching the new shows and just rewatching Batman the Animated Series, but I'm a team like a nobody. Like, I don't want to know. Like, I don't want them. I feel like Superman should always be a nobody, and Batman should always be a movie star. That's just, I feel like they've been the most successful when they've gone that route.
Well, the masks work for that, right,
Yeah,
Joey?
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's always kind of my opinion on it. And so I'm hoping there's some young actor out there who has the presence for the role and just runs with it.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat as you guys. I can't really think of a name off the top of my head, although there is one, I guess, that I just thought of. And I don't know, it depends on how young they plan on going and what kind of tone and all that too. How would you feel about like Dacre Montgomery as Superman from Stranger Things? If you guys have seen that.
Okay.
Representing a little bit.
Which kid is he?
He's
Billy.
He's in season 2 and 3. Yeah. He was the Red Ranger in the Power Rangers movie too.
Right.
Oh. Yeah. Jasmine was the Pink Ranger in the Power Rangers movie. Did you know that?
I did.
Yeah.
And I love that her song got a lot of praise in Aladdin, which she sang it very, very well, but it literally stopped the movie, and that really bugged the crap out of me.
Yeah, she had like Hiro Nakamura powers in that scene.
Yeah. But that's who that is.
Okay. Well, maybe.
I like that name. I like it.
I'm much, JJ, I'm much like you. I'm like, I see these names. I'm like, what? Like, because at least, but the problem is now we're all like kind of older than some of these people. I remember back when I was in high school, I had friends, and they were watching the Tudors, and they were posting, "Oh, I love Henry Cavill," right? So I'm like, "Oh, that's the guy from the thing that the girl posted on the live journal," right? When I was in high school, that's how I knew Henry Cavill, right? Or is that the kid from Count of Monte Cristo, right? So,
oh yeah,
I don't know, like straight. I think the God, I blank on his name now, but kid with the baseball hat and the curly long hair and the tooth gap. He's got a really long last name.
From Stranger Things?
From Stranger Things, yeah.
Maturizzo, I think. Something like that.
Yeah, Gayton. Yeah.
Jimmy Olsen, right there.
Yes. Yes.
I like
it. He has the energy to him, right?
So, he does.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't have a Superman casting for you. The guy, Sean, what's his name? I think you might have said, like, I think that's the guy he looks like a younger Henry Cavill.
He does. Yeah.
Which is like, is that what we're going to do? Because we did that with Brandon Routh, Chris Reeve. Like, but the thing is, like, these people look like Superman, so it's not their fault. Like, Tom Welling looks like Superman. Like, I saw, like, I didn't even you've heard me say before. I was like, it's a bald guy, and the guy looks like Superman. This is a Superman show I just turned on here in Smallville, second episode. Yeah, I just want them to be, to look the part and be a good actor. Yeah. And I agree with what all y'all are saying. Unknowns are the best.
I feel like we're fan casting this right now, though, to be honest. I mean, we've thrown out like Dacre Montgomery, Gaten Manizaro from Stranger Things. Sean Levy could direct.
Yeah, Millie Bobby Brown is Lois, obviously. David Harbour is Perry White.
Perfect. See, there we go.
That's good casting.
It's a lot.
Actually. That's really good.
I heard. I mean, I think the rumor is that
Winona Ryder is Martha Kent. Okay, I'll stop now.
no, I'm with you on that one.
She did play Spock's mom in Star Trek, so it actually works.
Tom Welling as Jor-El.
Who's Jor-El?
Ooh.
Tom Welling.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He said that on an episode of Inside of You.
And Kristen Kirk is Lara, obviously. No.
Of course.
Yeah.
I had I lost my train of thought. All right, come back to me.
Yeah,
No worries.
No, you're good.
I'm a big believer in the symbolic passing of the torch. Having Noel Neill and Superman the movie, and Tom Welling and Brandon Routh essentially passing the torch to Tyler Hoechlin. I like things like that. So, not that I want a little some legacy casting somewhere along the way where you can.
On that note, that was one of the reasons I loved Kevin Conroy being the aged, angry, almost evil Bruce Wayne in Crisis, because that fit Kate Kane's narrative in that story really, really well. And I was like, oh, this is perfect. And aside from being awesome seeing Kevin Conroy finally in live action, it was like her narrative worked so well for the rest of Crisis and even the rest of the season, because she brought it up a couple more times in season 1, saying, I met this Bruce and he was so bitter and I don't want to be that way.
Oh, look, so they actually followed up on that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And then because there was a moment where she killed one of the bad guys and she immediately regretted it and was like, I'm just like that Bruce. It was something like that. I haven't watched it in a while because I really got upset with that show when she left and they not just recast, but they did a whole. I ended up enjoying it, but it took me a minute to kind of adjust to all that. But anyway, so no, I totally agree with you that I would love to see, somebody like even if like Tom Welling just plays, like if he plays Jonathan or he plays Jor-El or something, that would just be such a cool little treat for the fans, right? I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
So Man of Steel had Aaron Somlinski. I had to look it up.
Yeah,
but
he's the baby, right?
Yeah,
He's the baby.
I've seen him talk in Metropolis for the festival, and that was he loves the fandom and the.
I would too. Remember that guy?
I think he just did a fan film for Superman where he was Lex Luthor, I believe, as well.
Really?
Just recently.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
When I saw
him
him
as Lex Luthor, then there's some legacy casting, right?
When I saw him in Metropolis, he came out onto the stage with just a red towel,
and then he got up and stretched, and then it fell off.
It's like, there's kids here, man.
Who here thinks? And this is, and I believe, Daryn, in your book, The Snyderverse Saga, you actually mentioned this, and it was, I think you said it was unconfirmed, as I'm quoting you correctly. CGI Christopher Reeve face on Henry Cavill? Who thinks that was there?
Oh, at the end of Man of Steel, you mean?
Yeah. That's got to be there. I think it's there.
Wait, where?
So when he's at the bottom of the Indian Ocean and there's the world engine that's beaming down on him, he's looking up, and there's this famous publicity photo of Christopher Reeve as Superman. It's like on actually one of the DVD sets where he's just like this,
Uh-huh.
And it's and Henry Cavill's in the exact same position, and it's like as all the lights are scanning over his face, and I'm like,
oh.
But again, maybe these guys just look like Superman. Maybe that's what it is.
I think it's that.
But I don't know, man. Like it's very like, you can go look it up somewhere, but side by side, I think that's a cool subtle way to do it. I don't think Snyder has ever confirmed yes or no what it is, but
he's
something
been
like
asked,
that.
He's been asked about it, but he hasn't given a direct answer. I'll put it that way.
Like, what do you think? It's like, way to go. Is Dom Cobb dreaming at the end of Inception? Let us know. So it's the same situation.
Have you ever seen, it's like from the late 70s, obviously, there was a Saturday Night Live bit. I just saw this like a year ago. It was really funny, actually, where it's like Christopher Reeve and a bunch of other actors auditioning to play Superman.
No,
but they
I
have
have
to
not
do.
seen this.
Oh, you got to look it up. It's
Is
pretty
that
funny.
with
It's like,
Bill Murray?
I think Bill Murray's in it. Yeah,
I think I might
they're-
have seen it. Yeah.
and Jim Belushi's in it, and because I think Jim Belushi's playing Donner, and they're like, okay, so if you can do these feats, then you can play Superman, and like Christopher Reeve's the only one who can do it. Like he catches a bullet, like Jim shoots them all,
Yeah.
and Jim or Christopher Reeve catches it in his mouth, and he's like, oh, I got it, and they're like, oh, you got the part. It's pretty funny.
That's funny.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to go look that up.
Right.
I have seen that skit of Margot Kidder was the host, and it's like Bill Murray's Superman in it, and she's like throwing a party, and so everybody shows it's a superhero party. Like the Flash is there, Ant-Man. It's funny. So it's
Oh, I know what I've never seen it, but I know what you're talking about because so many people were like, when the Ant-Man movie came out, they're like, this isn't the
Yeah.
first time there's been a
Oh.
live action Ant-Man.
yes.
I'm like, yes, it is, you idiots.
Yeah.
That doesn't count.
that was funny though, because I know Ant-Man comes in and like I believe Dan Aykroyd is the Flash. And he's like, yeah, check out this guy. He has the strength of a human. He's talking about Ant-Man. That's the line that sticks out to me the most from that. But anyway, I'll have to check out that Christopher Reeve thing. But anyway, I that's a cool way to kind of work him in there if that's what they're doing. Sometimes like I don't know, like sometimes that stuff can be distracting too. So you got to be careful about it. Like they were smart not to cast Adam West as like Thomas Wayne in Batman '89. I don't even know if that was on the radar, but they were smart not to, I think. But John Wesley Shipp, perfect as Henry Allen in The Flash, and obviously he's all of the Flashes now, and the Flash, which is great. I love that. I mean, he's great as Jay Garrick. He's great as Barry Allen, Henry Allen. So, the Flash movie, they should work in John Wesley Shipp somewhere. I mean, that guy has been the character. There he is over there, but he's been the character since 1990.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be nice to throw him a bone, like they're running through the multiverse, right? With all the potential
gone
cameos
now.
they could have. Oh, that's right. They were erased. That's the
Wait,
90.
He did die.
That's right, yeah.
Final.
Well, they restored all the Earths, JJ. So what's saying that he didn't restore Earth 90? But yeah,
His Jay Garrick will come back.
Just
Oh
like,
yeah.
if there was one definitive death, it was John Wesley Shipp's Barry Allen from Earth 90 there. But anyway,
So the name I actually was thinking about, and y'all had a good point, just in terms of maybe it should be a no name, but what do you guys think about Glenn Powell, the
from
Hangman
Top Gun?
From Top Gun, yeah,
They need him in a superhero movie. I don't know what it is.
yeah.
But I was thinking Hal Jordan because I'm more simple-minded. Like, he flies a fighter jet. But if you die, hey, Christopher Reeve had brown hair, so don't let your hair color be a.
That's what I'm
obstacle.
thinking. Yeah, just dye your hair. And at least in my mind, when you want to cast a Superman, I think you want to go with like, even though it might be a little touchy now, but he is supposed to have that all-American, handsome, kind of.
He's kind of smarmy though, but maybe that's just the character. I haven't seen him.
Just like Johnny Storm.
Yeah, that guy could never play Captain America. That's a good point. Thank you.
Yeah.
He was in The Dark Knight Rises. Glenn Powell. He was in the stock exchange for Bane. Like,
That's right.
where's all your money?
Oh yes, there's no
That's
money
right.
here. That
Where
guy.
are you people here? Like that's the guy.
So maybe he is a smarmy jerk.
Yeah.
He's just typecast.
That's a good. No, I like that idea. I identify that. I'm like, I want to see that guy in more stuff because I think he was great. Oh,
And actually, if you want to see him in a more positive light, I know him first as like, oh, he's a good guy from Hidden Figures. He was like the nice, handsome astronaut. And I'm like,
okay.
it's Superman. He's shaking hands with black people. Wow.
I will say that anytime anyone mentions Glenn Powell, I have to flip my brain a little bit because I think of Glenn Howerton from It's Always Sunny. So I'm like, Dennis? You will want Dennis to be Superman?
I think of Glenn Close when I hear Glenn. I'm like, oh, well, that's a.
We're going way
Recalibrate.
different directions.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I can see that. I definitely want to see him in one of these movies. That's the thing, right? So many people have been super like if they're really going to hard reboot, like you got to have some fresh actors in here that haven't been in these things before. Because it's all going to be because it was kind of funny when we were younger. I'm like, hey, Storm is Catwoman and Johnny Storm is Captain America, but now it's getting ridiculous. Like everybody has been in multiple movies now. It's getting exhausting. So, some new faces would be great. So good call on Glenn Powell there, Isaiah.
Hey.
Gentlemen, I'm so sorry. I have to get going here. I'm sorry to cut my
No,
time
you're good,
here
man.
short.
No worries.
But this was great. Isaiah, great meeting you. Great seeing
Thank you.
Joey and Daryn and Zach again, of course. So
Hey,
yeah.
4 Comic Junkies, check it out.
Yeah, 4 Comic Junkies and the Spider-Man Book Club on Twitter. Joey's been on that show. We talked Superior Spider-Man, one of my favorites. So all that you can find wherever you get your podcasts. Yeah, Spider-Man Book Club, 4 Comic Junkies, and I've also been on Daryn's show. And
returning to my show.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. Yeah. So thanks a lot, gentlemen, and always hold on to Smallville.
Hey, he said the thing.
He said the thing. DJ.
That's a really good catchphrase.
Yeah. You can have it if you want. Oh, man. So, yeah, Glenn Powell is Superman. Billy Zane is Lex Luthor. That kid from Stranger Things is Jimmy Olsen, whose name I feel bad. I can't remember his name, but I don't know. And, I saw, who did I see? I saw, I saw a picture of somebody and I was like, she'd be good Lois Lane the other day, but I don't know who it was. Missy Tulloch, I think. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Well, you see all these.
Bitsy is getting close to being my favorite Lois Lane.
I mean, I think she might be.
Yeah.
I think just iconically my list, like Sacrilege, again, being the Smallville guy. Bitsy Tulloch might be my favorite Lois, and then Terry Hatcher, and then Erica Durance. I'm just saying Erica Durance had to do 4 years of this show where she was like, you're not Lois, so just be silly and stuff, okay? And like the last 3 were great, but just saying, like that baggage lowers her score to me, right? Mm-hmm. To me. Mm-hmm. She's still top 3 Lois, though. It's the top 3 Lois.
None of them have been in the movies.
No, same with Alexis.
Oh, right? Yeah, I've been thinking that. I've been watching Adventures of Superman. That's my favorite Jimmy, probably by far.
Oh yeah, Jack Larson. Yeah, Sam Huntington is my favorite Jimmy, though. But
really?
Who's also Jack Larson is in Superman Returns, so they sure to see. They passed the torch there, Joey.
I'm a big believer. See, my thought on this next movie, I want like the Action Comics T-shirt and jeans for not the whole movie, but half, and then maybe Tom is just kind of like has a moment like the Stanley moment in Spider-Man 3 where he just kind of says, you know what, you need a uniform or something like that, and gives him that kind of a line.
One guy really can make a difference.
he needs to tell him he needs to put a suit on.
Yeah,
there's
not a bad idea.
A really meta comment and just rubbing it in everyone's face.
That could I could either love that or hate that. There's no in between. There's like I would either think, oh, that was great, or like that's the worst thing I've ever seen. I can't believe they did that. It's all in the execution. So
Tom Welling can be Ben Hubbard. That's what he'll be.
Ben Hubbard. That's right. Ben Hubbard. He's coming to date Winona Ryder, who of course be Martha Kent. Actually, that's good casting. Winona Ryder's the Stranger Things, Daryn. I think you got a good point there. You got the whole cast there.
It's an awesome show, awesome tone.
And then the guy, the Swamp Thing looking villain guy.
Swamp Thing looking villain guy.
He can be Brainiac.
I was thinking maybe even. I mean, that's yeah. I mean that. I mean, if you don't want to copy Stranger Things too much, I'll throw out a name for Brainiac: John David Washington from Tenet.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Ironically, side complete tangent. He is who I wanted T'Challa to be recast as.
Oh, cool.
I wanted John David Washington. Yeah, that'd
have been awesome.
Again, I'm simple-minded. I'm like Jon Stewart.
John Stewart. Wayne T. Carr is John Stewart. Zach,
there you go. Hey, no one's cast him. No one's seen him yet. It'd be perfect. It'd be fresh casting. Absolutely. Wayne T. Carr, man.
Yeah.
And then Phil Lamar is his dad. Legacy casting from
there you go.
That is cool. Supergirl got in Martian Manhunter from the DCEU. Why are all these names escaping right now? But you know what I'm talking about. Lance's dad went to college with him. He mentions it all the time. Mantis. What is his name? The voice of the Martian Manhunter in the DCEU. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I guess I don't know off the top of my head.
Oh, look it up, Joey.
I've been watching Superman animations lately. So.
I see you searching there. We're doing these videos thing. I can't just be like, well, let me pause here, look this up. So That's
this
the
is
danger.
live radios, guys.
Live radio.
Oh gosh, I cannot.
Why
This
can't
is
I
taking
remember?
Too long. John Jones.
Ridiculous.
I got to go into the DC fandom page. Oh gosh, where's the
Carl
portrayed by?
Lumbly?
Carl Lumbly. Yes.
There it is.
Yes.
That was
It took me too
I
long.
liked how they I mean, same thing with ideas Kevin Conner, right? Like these DCAU just as legacy as anybody else. So bringing them in to kind of pass torches like that is cool. Dana Delaney, if they ever show Lois's mom, Lois and Lucy's mom on Superman and Lois, it should totally be Dana Delaney. I feel like they were setting up seeing her at some point. Right? Because they're like, usually Lois's mom is dead. And they're like, well, she left the family. I'm like, oh, that means you're going to see her. So I learned from Smallville.
Now, speaking
I
of
think it's
passing
season
the
3 we will.
torch, have you? This is an old YouTube video where like Tim Daly and Brandon Routh and Dean Cain on an iPad. Have you guys seen this?
Oh, yes. The League of Superman.
Yes, where
No.
they do the full passing of the torch to
Because Tim Daly's son.
he played Superman in Flashpoint. There.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
good. What was it? It's the League of Superman or something? Joey?
Legion of Supermen, I
Yeah.
think. And they had an entire series. They had Kevin Conroy on a few episodes.
Yeah, him fight Tim Daly. Yeah.
Yeah,
that was
good.
good.
That was great.
That was a fun time. That was like, gosh, that was like early 20-teens.
Yeah, like 2011, 2012.
Dean Cain on the iPad. That was that's funny. No, that's good. That's good. So yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm interested. Of course, if they come on the new Superman movie, I'm going to see it. But like, it's the thing about DC. Like, I will see every movie. Even Jonah Hex. I saw that in the theater. Okay, but I am getting a little fatigued though. Like, I find it's like we just did it 10 years ago now. Man of Steel. It feels like yesterday, but it also feels like forever ago at the same time. But it's like, and I know it won't be like a Krypton explodes kind of thing, but it's like we got to reintroduce all these characters, and there's going to be so much. Like, see, before it was speculation about, oh, where can they take the story next, and now it's like, well, who's going to play so and so? Well, who's going to play? Well, what's this universe going to even feel like, right? And it's kind of exhausting on some level, right?
I get what you mean, but I think maybe you're overestimating the amount of exposure that the ancillary characters of the Superman mythology has had. Just like I know for like me and my friends and like my generation, for example, the only Jimmy Olsen that I've seen like in recent memory is Guardian from Supergirl and the like 2.5, 3 scenes from Superman Returns. Other than that, I only know Jimmy Olsen as the guy who was shot in the head in Batman v Superman, So it's like,
I hold that was a code name, but fair enough.
Wow.
let's be real. Let's be just like, honestly, we all know that was Jimmy Olsen. Like that
that was a government agent. He obviously took the real Jimmy Olsen's credentials.
See,
Who's his film camera anymore?
I would have believed that if the dead Robin wasn't Dick Grayson. Once Zach revealed that, I was like, okay, so then he doesn't care and just let's kill everybody. Why does it matter?
I thought that it was going to be Jenny Olsen, right? Jenny from Man of Steel, right?
Can I interject for just a second?
Author of the Snyderverse saga, Daryn Kirscht chimes in.
Okay, so yes, obviously Zach chose very intently to kill Jimmy Olsen in the beginning of BVS, right? And it's kind of funny because like in the theatrical cut, if I'm not mistaken, of BVS, they never mentioned that he's Jimmy Olsen. I think somebody found it in the credits in the movie, and they're like, wait a minute, he was Jimmy Olsen? And then when we saw the Ultimate Edition, obviously it wasn't revealed that his name was technically Jimmy Olsen. But in Man of Steel, Jenny Olsen was kind of supposed to be the female version of Jimmy Olsen. She was supposed to replace Jimmy Olsen, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But then they changed her last name, right? Or am I wrong? Like, she's not Jenny Olsen, is she?
I think she is.
She is? Okay.
I think so.
Do you know why they didn't really follow up with that in BVS? Because I think it would have been interesting, but I didn't get that at all.
Follow up with what exactly?
With like the idea of, okay, if she's going to be like a female Jimmy Olsen, then like the idea of like eventually they're supposed to be best pals from what I've heard.
At least her running around with a camera or something.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't got an answer for that one. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
I just can't. That comment that there's an entire generation who just doesn't have a Jimmy Olsen. That's just wild.
Yeah, man.
And it's true. I just didn't even think about it that way. Oh man.
Well, we do have kind of a to your point, Isaiah. We do have a different perspective considering we eat, breathe, and sleep this stuff.
Yeah.
Mark McClure is my Jimmy Olsen. No, I always wear a suit to the office, Marty. Yeah, Aaron Ashmore, man. Good for you. Hey, good for him.
For you.
Good for him coming back for the series finale to play Jimmy Olsen.
Oh, he came back.
Yeah, isn't that lame how they spoiled it? And obviously it's a contractual thing, but it's like special guest appearance by Aaron Ashmore. I'm like, oh, well, I guess we're gonna see Jimmy Olsen in this series finale.
Did they do that with Michael in Smallville?
Well, everybody.
They had the 2-part, right? Was that something they were able to at least wait until like the second hour?
Do they split it up that way with like credits? I've never watched the finale in 2 parts like that.
I think the DVDs have the credits, or no, they don't. Never mind.
Yeah, it's kind of like
credits,
the pilot.
There are like on-screen credits.
The on-screen credits, right.
When the second half starts, so
right. I'll keep an eye on that when I cover it on the podcast. Yeah, I don't know. Should have got Kristen Curry back for the finale, right? Like,
Cool.
Have her just watching Clark on a TV and like, oh, I don't know. Come to the wedding. I don't know. She's full of kryptonite. Then I guess couldn't have done that. But
that would have been such a bad look to have your ex-girlfriend show up to your wedding,
and you would have 100% be with her if it wasn't for the fact
if it wasn't for kryptonite poisoning. Exactly.
Trying to think, did I have any ex-girlfriends at my wedding? Let me think. No, I did not. Just for the record. So. Yeah, no, that's a bad. Well, hey, we'll get there soon in the podcast, y'all. Very excited to talk about Lana's return in season 8, which in concept, good. Let's bring her back and in their relationship in a mature way. Execution, no, they did the worst thing they could do. They made it like, oh, well, I can't be around you, so I guess I'll marry Lois.
Well, and in the season 11 comics too, she like got rid of the poisoning within like 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just fine, and she's just like, nah, I'm staying away.
Yeah, well, no, she's in the Middle East. Like,
they identified that problem, and they're like, okay. Well, honestly, like, no, she's removed herself from Clark's life. That's great. Metallo is a great way to do it. To suck the kryptonite from her and stuff. Metallo, he needs to be a villain in whatever the new Superman movie is, because you got to start smaller scale, in my opinion. Like Man of Steel. I think where else do you go with it? I understand why they had to do Batman X because in the Justice League, because it's like we already did Daily Invasion, right? Let's scoop more smaller because that's an aspect of the Snyderverse, which I wish they did more of Daily Planet stuff, right? Yeah. So if we do smaller scale Daily Planet stuff, Lex Luthor's doing some nefarious. Just watch Superman the animated series and make that into movies.
Yeah. And the end credit scene of the first movie is Brainiac noticing there's a Kryptonian on Earth who's shown himself and. There it is. There's your sequel.
You know who's a good Brainiac who could also do it in live action was John Noble. He was in Superman Brainiac, the animated movie. He's Boromir and Faramir's dad in Lord of the Rings. Can you explain this? Eating his tomato. I know him best as Walter from Fringe, which is a fantastic show. Anyway, he's getting kind of old, but CGI, it's fine. Yeah. I don't know. You got it. That's the thing, right? If you're gonna do these unknown Supermans, you got to do like big names as the villains around him, and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
I want to see the Terminator Metallo. Like every time, like CW verse did it a little bit. Like, I give him credit there. I'm like, one of these crossovers, like, it's got freaking endoskeleton Terminator Metallo. That was cool. But again, Superman the Animated Series, right? Just do that. I want to see
the entire DC animated universe. Just do.
Actually,
just do that.
If we're gonna do a hard reboot, right? Let's just do that at this point. So,
well, hot take. I read on Twitter that idea, and people were like, we could maybe like introduce Superman into like the Reeves verse of Batman. And at first, I recoiled. I was like, do we want to do that? I don't know, but I think it's possible to like expand that universe in that way, in terms of Gotham is its own city, Batman is dealing with his own problems.
Well, that would be following the DCEU template.
Exactly.
And that gives you room. Like, if we're doing a hard reboot, you can't. I'm tired of just doing Batman by himself. Like, let's expand out his universe.
Yeah.
Like let his universe expand and then kind of bring everybody else in.
You're talking like Bat Family, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I've got the Nightwing hat on. We need Nightwing in the movies.
Yeah, talk about a generation not having a Jimmy Olsen. Let's talk about a generation not having a Robin.
Yeah.
Right?
Multiple generations.
Yeah, I mean, it was Burt Ward and Chris O'Donnell, and then I guess James Gordon-Levitt. What about the JGL?
You should go by your real name, Robin.
Yeah, that was the worst. That was the worst. You like? No, that's what the woman said in the movie. You're not saying who liked that. Other than
I'll
the
be
woman
honest.
in that movie.
So I'm gonna raise my hand only because I was very much like, oh, he said the thing, because Robin is Batman's partner.
Yeah, Robin. That's my real name. I'm going to use as my secret identity.
And that was like right. Also, there was a part of me that was like, oh, they're probably going to make a movie.
Well, that's why you do it.
Yeah,
like don't do it if you're not going to follow it up. He didn't train him for shit. It was just like, wait 5 seconds, throw this bomb, wear a mask, have a nice life, kid. I'm going to Paris. That's it. That's it.
Just like Michael Rosenbaum, just going to Paris.
That's right. Run it off. Oh man. So yeah, I want to see I don't like, and you say to yourself, does the Pattinson Batman, like, can he exist in a world? I mean, I don't know. We don't even know it that much. Like let it breathe, right? But this obsession about like the comic books are so full of the Bat family. And I think the Bat family is getting a lot of control, honestly. I think you have Batgirl and you have 3 Robins.
Yeah.
And then maybe a second Batgirl after Batgirl becomes Oracle. But I think that's it. You got to stop. Like there's just too many Robins now. You have the Robin who becomes Nightwing. You have the Robin who dies, and you have Robin. That's how it works. Like, that's it. Carrie Kelly is like a future thing, and that's fine. But Damian, I could actually, the hot take.
It has to be.
I'm not that crazy about Damian.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Really?
I was gonna say cut out Tim Drake.
No, Tim Drake gets no respect anymore. Right? They make him Red Robin. They send him the future, make him Batman Beyond. Tim Drake. If there was a Robin who was my Robin, it was Tim Drake. All right, and I'm sick of him just being like just erased just because Batman had a kid in some Grant Morrison comic book 20 years ago. All right, I don't know. I have not. To be fair, I have not read a lot of comics with Damian. I understand, like, when the era where Batman R.I.P., when there was Dick Grayson as Batman and he was Robin, that was a really good run.
Yeah.
I've heard good things about it, right? At some point in my life, I'll check it out.
Super Sons is incredible.
It is.
I guess, honestly, Joey, though, I mean, the New 52 is it really, like, annoyed me about Damian's existence, because it's like, you're telling me it's been 5 years that we have 4 Robins.
Yeah.
Like, I think ultimately that's when I got annoyed, because it's like, okay, if Batman's been around, he's like his late 40s now, and he's been doing it for 20 years. Sure, he can have multiple, but now it's like, come on. So, and I know all that's changed, so I don't know. So we'll see about Damian.
Yeah, the New 52 is where I jumped in for the most part. So I was like, oh my god, this is great. And they ignored Tim Drake, so I'm like, I don't need him.
Yeah. I mean, so who do you want to see in the Batman 2? Mr. Freeze? That's what everybody wants to see, right? That's what the word on the internet is.
Oh,
I think that's probably the best route to go, because I think he edges on just a line of fantasy sci-fi with just enough grounded realism to fit in that world. Mm-hmm. And I think he has such a compelling story, like, on his own as well, that I think it'd be perfect, because it's almost like, bear with me, it's almost like as Bruce is learning to step more into the light, as recognizing that he can do more as Bruce Wayne, you have this other guy who's struggling to find a cure to save his wife. So you could almost have the cliched thing that has been done plenty of times, where it's like Bruce is trying to reach out to that humanity of Mr. Freeze, while also Batman is also recognizing that, no, this guy's killing people, I gotta stop him. I think that'd be super compelling to do for a second movie.
Yeah, my vote is Court of Owls. I think that's something that needs to be brought to live action. You've got the Dick Grayson tie in there, so you can add a Robin. And
I agree with you about Court of Owls, but because it's one of the like great new Batman villains and threats. But maybe like in movies, I mean, we don't know how movies we're gonna get. We don't know how many movies we're gonna get. That's more like a movie 5 or 6 thing, right, Joey? Like still early for the second movie, in my opinion.
Well, it was the first thing in the New 52.
Well, that was 5 years into his story, Joey.
True, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that feels like, this has been under the surface for years. I didn't know about it. Like, that's part of the appeal.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I absolutely agree. Court of Owls needs to be in this frame. Hopefully, that's it. You gotta crank. Look at what Marvel's doing. I know we always compare, but like they're cranking out movies. You got to get back on that. Like you got to crank up these Batman movies. He's gonna be
just
Pattinson's gonna age out by the third one if you don't follow this. Hurry up with this stuff.
Hey, move Pattinson to fully to HBO Max. That's the way to go. Make it. Batman would be great as a series too.
Ooh,
yeah,
that'd be so cool.
He's tailor made, but you know what? He makes too much money.
Yeah,
to be on TV. Superman, nobody cares, I guess. So we can have all the TV shows. But Daryn, do you have a favorite Batman villain you'd like to see that in a sequel to The Batman?
I kind of like what Isaiah's thrown down. I kind of like the idea of Mr. Freeze. I know it's been kind of speculated a lot online, and like you'd mentioned, as someone who, a lot of my favorite movies are sequels, right? So that's why I have a podcast about it. But I think of what works well in the first movie and some different areas you can explore in the sequel. Obviously, the first one was very Batman heavy, very Batman centric with the Riddler, right? And you kind of saw that he wasn't really the Bruce Wayne that we know and love. He still has to work on that. And I think that's going to be a pretty prevalent part in the second one. So you got to look for someone who's going to be the foil of that, right? He has to rise and overcome that in order to become the Bruce Wayne, the face of Wayne Enterprises, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like, Mr. Freeze would be awesome. I mean, everybody always, when you think of Mr. Freeze, what do you think of? Fortunately, you think of Batman and Robin, right? I've seen Zach has been retweeting a lot of those memes and the whatnot, the jokes from Batman and Robin, all the lines of dialogue from Arnold, right? But look at Batman the Animated Series. I mean, I hate to bring it up again, but look how well it was done in that. It won an award.
Yeah.
Like, didn't it win an Emmy, that episode? So, I mean, I think there's a lot of, and especially as long as Matt Reeves is directing, it's going to be great. I have all the faith in the world in it. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah. And like, we all know how really real and tragic that, the Mr. Freeze story is, and I've seen it done well, but to bring, and they touched on a little bit in Batman and Robin, but to bring that serious take to him would be, that would bring a lot.
And I think it might congest the movie too much, but I think I would also look to introduce Robin in that movie as well. I think I'd rather have him in the second movie to build up that partnership and then introduce Court of Owls in the third one.
Yeah.
Joey. And so that way it's like, you can even time skip a few years. So now Dick is maybe in his late teens or whatever, and you can get some friction like interpersonal wise as Dick is trying to step out of the shadow of Batman while this underground organization is coming to light of having run Gotham for X amount of years.
I think what the Batman showed was you could have multiple villains at different like levels of kinds of the villains, like in the Batman universe. So you could have like the Zucco doing his thing on the circus. That's its own subplot, and then you have Mr. Freeze of the Batman thing. So you could make all that work without it feeling too crammed.
Yeah.
That's probably the best way, because let's do comic accuracy and have Tony Zucco kill the Graysons.
Yes, and do some real, not to mention the animated series again, but do more of the throwing, name dropping throughout the entire movie. Walk past, mention Harvey Dent. Mention.
Yeah. Oh yeah, can we please get Harvey Dent like in the first movie before he becomes Two-Face, and then actually make him Two-Face, because they haven't figured this out yet. They're like, we'll put Harvey Dent in it, and then we'll not do anything with him. Or, oh crap, we didn't introduce Harvey Dent. Well, here he is, now he's Two-Face. Like, can we? I want to see Bullock. I want to see Montoya. I want to see Harvey Dent. I want to see this. Maybe they should make a Gotham PD show, y'all. But anyway.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna agree.
Oh, okay. No, yeah, I'd say that's probably the right move. And as you were saying, Zach, it's like the Batman mythos is just so heavy with lore now that you could easily make like 6 movies in this franchise and it not feeling overstuffed.
Or a TV show.
Do a TV show.
They make too much money. Like that's character tailor made for it. That the Green Arrow. Maybe they should make a TV show about Green Arrow. That might work.
But when they inevitably end up canceling that entire universe just to streamline everything,
yeah,
I want them to jump in Dick is already Nightwing. Whoever, Jason is your Robin. Do that story. And just,
well, that's
Really?
what's so exciting about Batfleck, though. I thought, I'm like, oh, well, he's already an established Batman. He's had a Robin.
Yeah.
And we're over all this stuff, and that's the great thing about casting him in Batfleck, because he can play 30 and he can play 50. We have a flashback movie with the Joker kills, blah 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 blah. Like, nah, it's all for naught. But I agree. No, I agree with you, Joey.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you should do, because let's start, because you're never going to get there. You're never going to get to Robin 3 when you start with year 2 Batman or year 1 Batman.
Yeah,
you need to start where, like, prime of his career, Nightwing exists, Jason Todd or Tim Drake, or maybe there's a Red Hood out there, like, in that era, and that's how you get the stories that we never get. If we keep resetting all the time, we're never gonna get.
It's insane that we did the Red Hood story in Titans, and it was just whatever. It didn't mean anything, and we got it in live action, but it's just there. It wasn't. Batman wasn't a major part of it. Like, that's
crazy.
It's just ridiculous.
Although I'm not watching Titans, I'm aware of what goes on it, and I saw that was happening, and I was like,
Yeah, Jason gets killed in the season premiere of a new season, and and that's just the thing of it. I didn't finish it. I just kind of was overall over it. But
one of the first, I'd say, missteps with that is making Bruce a retired Batman, or like making him so aged. I think part of what makes...
Oh, you mean Titans?
Yeah, with Titans, sorry. Yeah. Instead of making him, relatively still in the prime, if not a little bit past the prime of his life where he's still active. Because I'm not going to lie, I definitely fell off of Titans. Yeah. But from what I remember, I don't know, it kind of seemed as if, Jason Todd Robin was kind of almost in a way operating solo some of the times, instead of like really under the tutelage of Batman. So I think, from then, that entire storyline, at least to me, was tainted.
Yeah, it was just this whole, and it's kind of a few of where Smallville had its issues too, of like, oh, we're gonna bring this person in, but they can't do anything. It's kind of like the Lois situation. Like, you have we can complain about the casting, but we have a guy who is Bruce Wayne. Why is he not allowed to ever put a costume on? It's just,
how is that going to be any worse? Like, confusing people, right?
Yeah,
it's just like, oh no, if somebody sees him in a costume, they're not going to understand.
In the second season, he was he was there like often. It's just that...
I'm very interested to see it, because I like him on Game of Thrones, that actor.
Yeah.
And I kind of like the Adam West vibe he gives off, honestly, in like the clips I've seen. But I'm curious to actually see that in context, because I know it's kind of very polarizing casting and character choices, I know, with him.
Yeah, if you've seen the meme with the horse, where it's like a beautifully drawn horse, and then that's Titans. I mean, there are amazing moments, and then it's just it falls flat.
Yeah, well, I've watched some Titus Welliver scenes as Lex Luthor on YouTube, and I'm like, okay, he's pretty good. Can't wait to see more of him in future episodes. No, I was spoiled. What's the deal? What's the deal with the beard? Like, with John Cryer worked for him, but it's like, is this a thing now for Lex Luthor? Like he's gonna have a beard now. Like, people are afraid to like have a bald guy. I mean, like, Jeff Bridges, let's cast him as Lex Luthor at this point, right? He looks, Iron Man, right? For Lex we're talking all around, but like for Lex in the Superman movie, clean shaven, head, no facial hair. What do you guys think? Rosenbaum look, or?
Yeah, I'm all in on your Billy Zane. That's
Zane train.
Yeah, I like the idea of kind of harkening back, I guess, to the original origin of Lex Luthor, where it's like a medical condition that has caused him to be hairless. I at least for me, I think that's just it creates such a super interesting narrative, where it's like a constant reminder of like a little thing to some people. But like to Lex, it's just a constant reminder of like a deficiency in what would otherwise be like a perfect body or perfect human.
Well, do you want Superman to be responsible for that? Because in the comics, it was like a lab accident.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I need that. I think that's unnecessary.
He should hate him for other philosophical reasons. Yeah.
I like the All-Star.
He hates him because he has a great head of hair.
So Lex says in Smallville, Clark has great hair, but hey, say what you will about Jesse Eisenberg's Lex. His theological issue with Superman was spot on. Like that was a valid interpretation, as I've said about Lex. And hey, Daryn, he looked good with the bald head. Like at that post credit scene, or that is not a post credit anymore, but that scene in Justice League with him on the boat. I'm like, oh, cool. I can see him developing into,
or
Lex.
even the end of BVS.
Yeah, ding 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 ding. Maybe not so much that part, but
I was about to
yes.
say,
oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I think I would have liked Jesse more if he just toned down on the neurosis. If he made it more controlled, and I recognize it was an acting choice, and I'm not an actor, so what do I know? But if you maybe had toned it down and maybe put in a more controlled performance, because so I'm gonna go on a bit of a tangent, but one of the notes that Kevin Feige sent about Amazing Spider-Man 2 was that Andrew Garfield was always emotional. So it's when the emotional moment came, there was nowhere for him to go, so to speak, because he was already at that point. And I think with Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor, it was the same thing in terms of if you want to make it times where he loses control and shows a more animalistic side of him, that might be interesting. But if he's always at an 11 of neurosis and just neurotic and all this stuff, it's there's no comparison in how he acts and his moods and that kind of thing, at least for me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I see that. Yeah.
This take has aged really poorly, but I in the moment when it came out, I was like, man, if you took the script and handed it to Kevin Spacey, it would have been perfect.
But I actually think so, yeah.
Or Bryan Cranston. No, everybody wanted Bryan Cranston. People, the criticism I get for Billy Zane, I reject, because I usually like him because he's bald. No, there's a lot of reasons. But I will use that criticism for Bryan Cranston. I'm like, okay, he was in the most popular show on TV at the time. He was bald. Let's cast it. He's a great actor. I love Bryan Cranston. He's fantastic. He was an episode of the 1990 Flash show. Check it out. But I don't know. As Lex Luthor, I mean, he's a great actor. I guess he could have done it, but I didn't understand people well, it was Bryan Cranston. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, that was a pretty big thing back then too. Everybody wanted Bryan Cranston.
Every fan trailer you saw on YouTube was
he's a great actor, though. He's a really good actor. I mean,
he would have been great.
Even in Argo, he was amazing.
Yeah.
And they need to fast forward a lot of things in this new universe. Lex is already president.
I've been thinking about that because I've always wanted to see the Lex's president storyline, right?
Yeah.
Smallville obviously teased it. The Public Enemies animated movie kind of adapted that arc, or the end of that arc. Justice League Unlimited teased it. Although, in our current state of politics, maybe we should wait.
I agree.
Billionaire. We don't need to worry about billionaire presidents, and
it would be non-stop comparison to Trump, who post-crisis Lex Luthor already is.
Yeah.
So again, it's life imitating art, imitating life,
and it would be people would think that it's a new idea, and it's and they're taking a shot, and
right. People would be like, well, you're just the discourse would just be endless and not. I don't want to deal with it. We have enough discourse right now as it is. So
just the really just what was it, not to get too political, but the when people were saying that they made Bane the villain because of Mitt Romney's company into
what?
Because Hines, because I never heard that, Joy, but that's interesting because
because that movie was
Romney's
coming out.
Wife is an heiress to the Heinz Corporation, Heinz Field, and people were saying that they destroyed that. Come on!
I think that was
they just filmed in Pittsburgh. Is all okay.
I think that was Rush.
Man,
it was a big thing about they're trying to. They're trying to demonize the word Bane. I'm like, Bane's a character. He was in another movie.
No,
anyway, that was
interesting.
Yeah, people would definitely have that reaction.
But it's just and I've wanted that storyline to see it. Small more than anybody else teased it. I think it's a new take, right? Yeah. It's we haven't seen that yet. Thank you, finally something different. But you got to wait. You can't do it right now. There's too much going on in the world today. Let's put a pause on that. Other than Smallville the animated series, which absolutely should do that.
Yes,
that should be the story. It should pick
if it
up
happens.
If it happens. Hashtag release Smallville the animated series, and we can make it happen.
And he's recovered his memories.
I don't know. That's the story, though. Like, to me, like, Smallville the animated series takes place after the flash forward in the future. Although
Yeah.
there's years you could tell there, but like, I want to move forward. Like, I don't want to know, like, I don't.
Mhm.
It's a Star Wars problem, Joe. You understand? Where it's like everything's like I want to know what happens next. Everything's leading up to something else. So,
Yeah.
I've seen this amazing fan art, and I would say the guy's name if I remember, but it's like, I'm sure you've all seen it. It's like Superman shaking Lex's hand, and he's on the presidential podium and waving, and it's like in the Smallville style, and it's swelling, and Rosenbaum's likenesses, and looks so good. I'm like, that's what we need to do. And it's animated in Smallville, so as much as I love it, it's not as mainstream as a $300 million movie would be, and I think you could get away with, like, quote unquote, get away with like the Lex president thing without the endless controversy they would bring up. So that's how I would do it. And then maybe, Joey, to your point, he recovers his memories over the course of that animated show or movie or whatever form it takes. I would love to see it. I think it makes a lot of sense. I'm biased, obviously, but I think I mean, you see all these DC, if nothing else, they crank out these animated movies. Why not draw them looking like actors who want to come back and provide their voices for that kind of story? Is anybody up to speed on these animated movies? By the way, like they seem to come out like every 6 months. But
yeah, I wanted to see the new Super Sons one with Damian and John Kent, and I didn't yet. I'm waiting for it to come back because they're still putting them on DVD and making you wait for the HBO Max, which is ridiculous. Drive people to your streaming service.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So I haven't watched Super Sons, and I hadn't watched Beware My Power. Is the latest one in terms of like the new.
Now they're all connected now, right?
DC, yeah. But other than that, I've liked their new direction, starting with Man of Tomorrow.
Is this okay? Who is Superman and Man of Tomorrow? So Daryn Kress.
I'll look it up right now.
And then I believe Zachary Quinto was Lex. I still haven't seen that, but those are casting choices that were of interest to me.
Zach, which one was Justin Hartley Superman?
He was in Injustice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Justin Hartley is going through the Justice League roster. He's going to play every character.
Yeah.
The last one animated movie I saw was the two movie Long Halloween with Jensen Ackles.
Now they don't spoil it, I guess, but they changed something in that, right?
Yes.
And people were like upset by. Okay, can't wait to check that one out. Interesting, but that's the way to do it. Jensen Ackles, there's your CW Batman, right? If you're gonna like the Batman in the Superman and Lois universe, make him Jensen Ackles. He's put in his time. So I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
Or in Smallville the animated series, right? If they can have the Eric Summers from Leech come back and his twin brother can be Jimmy Olsen, they can have Jensen Ackles, who was Coach Teague, come back as Batman. Anyway. And then, whenever Batman shows up in the Smallville animated show, give him Robin.
It's already in what was it in season 11? It was Barbara.
Barbara Gordon is
that's right.
but is Nightwing though.
Yes, right? That's what it was. Yeah.
And they wanted to use Stephanie Brown. They wouldn't let him. Interesting. So what would you say, Daryn?
Just for clarification purposes, and maybe this is theoretical, but if they're going to do Smallville the animated series, are they going to keep season 11 as canon, or are we just going to like forget
that? Will be erased. That Tom and Michael don't even know that it exists. I guarantee it. They don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
Look, it's Star Wars EU. That's the way I see it. Where it's like, okay, we're making the prequels now. All that Timothy Zahn stuff about the Clone Wars, don't worry about it.
Yeah,
like, the Sith are not a race anymore. Okay, they're the Empire. All that. No, that's the way I see it. And honestly, I agree with that decision. Like, I want to clean slate. But those, and I'm sure people on the internet will say, well, they took place before still fit, right? As the people are saying about Crisis, they're like, oh, he said that he experienced weird things, so maybe that meant that. No, the season 11 comics did not happen.
And well, Zach, I mean, come on, you're not even a real Smallville fan, remember?
That's right.
Stop shitting on the show, Zach.
Shitting on the show. Can you directly do a podcast where people actually like the show?
Oh gosh. See, my take with things like that is just same as Star Wars. If I like it and I can make it fit in my head, it fits. It's fine. If it doesn't fit, or if I didn't like it, I'm like, I'm gonna go with this other version. It's fine.
Yeah. They're not gonna come to your house and rip up your season 11 comics. But I guess I need to finish the rest of those before they get decanonized. You get on that. So anyway, those would be some of my hopes for the future of things. I came back to Smallville, of course, at the end there, but Chloe in it, I would just leave her out.
No recast.
Don't even name drop her. Just move on. Just
I don't know. When is Allison Mack get out of jail? Kristen Bell as Chloe, obviously.
Hey, they're fine with that. Ezra, Kelly, or Chloe can come back.
If Ezra Miller can, okay, yes. But no, Kristen Bell obviously is Chloe, right?
Ooh, that's
like
actually I like that. Yeah,
Justin Hartley would be in it as Green Arrow. I don't need them, but obviously they're friends with Justin Hartley. He's he's still connected with them with the podcast stuff. He does voice acting. He's been Superman recently. I think he would do it. He just saw him in the Noel Diaries, which I recommend. A great
I want to see that, yeah.
A hallmark by any other name Christmas movie on Netflix. So it was pretty cute. It was pretty cute. So, and he plays the same guy. He is always Kevin from This Is Us. It's like season 8 Oliver Queen, like Kevin from This Is Us. This guy in this movie, it's the same dude, but he's great at it. So, anyway, and everyone else would come back. I mean, they're talking about John Glover back. I'm like, why would I don't know? The only reason the John Glover would work, and this could be interesting, is you have Lex see his dad the way like Harry Osborn sees Norman Osborn.
Yeah.
And that's his memories trying to resurface, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like Simba and Mufasa in The Lion King, right? With Mufasa in the clouds.
Yeah. Daryn,
remember
exactly like
who you are.
It's exactly like that.
Yeah.
And Tess is Rafiki. No, I don't think, again, Smallville season 11 not being canon, I think Tess is just gone. As much as I love Tess and Cassie Freeman, like, let's just, maybe that can be the thing. Like, maybe that's the story of like Clark trying to bring Lex to justice for killing Tess, something like that.
Didn't she become like
the Red Tornado?
Like
that's
Red
correct.
Tornado? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, she did. So let's just ignore that. You took an original character like Tess Mercer, who was like a cool amalgamation of different characters, and then you kind of turned her into Lena Luthor. I'm like, okay, and then you turned her again into Red Tornado. I'm like, can we just stop? There can be new characters. Now I'm the guy who liked John Diggle as Green Lantern, so who am I to talk?
Yeah,
but how are we gonna have?
If it works, it works.
How are we gonna have new characters in these things if we keep turning them into existing characters, right? So, anyway, Chloe Sullivan, that's a great character you can use. That's what the craziest thing is about that is like literally the week that story broke is when they name dropped Chloe Sullivan on Supergirl.
Oh,
it was the Midvale episode. I'm like, let me talk to Clark. I'm like, you could not have timed that better or worse depending on how you look at it. But
yeah,
anyway. I remember when you first announced that, like addressed that on the podcast.
How did I do?
Dude.
What did you think?
No, you were good. It was very funny because I felt like I didn't want to be disrespectful, but I didn't know how. I mean, like, how do you process something like that? I was just about to say, you were like, "There's no easy way to say this. Just gotta get it out there," But
am I just gonna ignore it? Like it's like this huge elephant in the room, right? And I like how the Talkville guys like talk around and like, hey, you know what? Allison made some choices in life, but you know what? She was a great actress back then. I'm like, that's how you have to address it.
Yeah.
Like, what are they just going to ignore that Chloe existed on the show and never talk about her? Like, you have to talk about it. So,
well, a lot of the NXIVM stuff, if I'm not mistaken, usually takes place towards the end or after Smallville's time, anyway, right?
Yeah, that was after season 11. There, no,
yeah.
When she was done with the show, that's when the stuff got pretty crazy. I have not watched the Val season 2 yet. Has anyone else?
I have not.
No, I watched season 1. That was like height of the pandemic, so that was like, all right, another documentary. I'm interested to see it. I'm sure there's obviously more Allison Mack stuff in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, Kristen Bell is Chloe in Smallville the animated series. Yes, that's where we are with it. So anyway, well, cool, y'all. Any final thoughts here as we wrap up?
No, not really.
What is the coolest thing you got for Christmas? Anything like Superman related or no? Daryn, what about you? Let's start with you.
Oh man, what's the coolest thing I got for Christmas? Superman related. What do you think? I don't know. I got a VCR player. It rewinds itself. It's kind of cool. It's
VCR player. That's like saying ATM machine. That's redundant. VCR is all you need. It's okay. You're younger.
Okay.
You don't know, but
yeah. So I got one of those. I guess I don't know. I guess. I got this mini fridge that has a Superman like sticker on it. That's kind of cool.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
What about you, Joy?
I got a new Lego ATTE from Public Era, so it's already on the
What
shelf.
is an ATTE?
All terrain. I forget.
Which movie is that in? Is that in a movie?
It is in Attack of the Clones. It's one of the ones that the drop ships come and drop off.
I get it.
And
I
then
understand.
fly away. Yep.
Cool.
8.
Do you call them AT-ATs or AT-ATs?
AT-AT.
Thank you. AT-AT is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
AT. I'm terrible. I'm a terrible Star Wars fan. All terrain tactical enforcer. So ATTE, not
yeah.
AT.
Anyway, I heard somebody call them AT-AT when I was a kid. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like this.
I'm very anti Chicken Walker people too.
Oh, really? I like the ATST.
People who just say Chicken Walker.
Oh,
yeah.
Obviously, yeah. That's like calling it a laser sword.
Yeah, exactly.
Laser sword. Yeah.
You expect me to walk out there with a laser sword, face down the entire first? Anyway, Isaiah.
Yes, that's exactly what we expect you to do, Luke.
Yeah.
I actually gifted myself with the Batman Arkham video game series because I originally lost it, and so I bought them back, and that is what I will be doing all tonight and into tomorrow. Yeah,
enjoy it, man. That's cool stuff.
Awesome.
Well, as you might have seen on social media, I got a DC Comics Superheroes Toy Biz Superman action figure, which I've wanted my entire life. And the great thing is, my dad got me one, and then Lance also got me one. So he can't see. It's right there next to my octagonal disc. You probably can't make it out, but there it is, right there.
Octagonal what?
The paperweight.
Did you, in the recent Talkville episode, they said, "Yeah, people always had me sign this. I never knew what it was."
That's amazing. That's what I'm talking about. I love it. It's so great. Anyway, so I actually got to open one and keep one in the package, which is like every collector's dream.
That's awesome.
So now it's up here on my shelf with my Lex Luthor, who I also have, which I had I had the Lex Luthor as a kid, didn't have the Superman, and just my mom tried best she could and called every Toys R Us in Houston. They just didn't have one in the 1990s, early 1990s. But I saw a Lex Luthor not too long ago at a comic shop, and I picked it up. So now they're on my shelf, as you guys might have seen on social media. So that's I mean, I got a lot of cool stuff for Christmas, but I mean, it's hard to top this.
It's like a weenie whistle.
A what?
Like I was making a Santa Claus reference. Santa Claus reference, the toy you never got.
I understand.
Yeah, I got a question for y'all before we go.
Yeah.
What was your favorite movie this year?
Oh, where's my letterbox at?
Oh, pulling the letterbox.
Top Gun Maverick, at least for me. Love that movie.
I agree. Top Gun Maverick, especially seeing it in the theater.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'll probably go the Batman for this year.
Nice. I'll mix it up. Those are my number 2 and number 3 for the year. My number 1 is Avatar: The Way of Water.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was okay. I'll respect that.
I like Joey. I don't really have interest in that, or JJ. I don't have any interest in that, so I probably won't. I don't think I'll be seeing that. But
I think I liked it better in the first one, to be honest.
Really?
Agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why are Stephen Lang back as Na'vi? That doesn't make any sense to me. Is that explained? I mean, obviously it's explained, but did you like the explanation? I guess is the better question.
It works. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess I bought into it. I accepted it.
Okay. I just thought that was an odd choice, but fair enough.
Yeah.
Joey? Avatar: Way of Water?
I'm terrible. I haven't seen the first one.
It's fine. Just don't worry about it.
Yeah.
If you didn't see it in the movie theater, there's really no point.
Yeah.
In my opinion, right?
And now it's kind of one of those defining features that I'm just like, well, I guess I should never see it. So
you got to hold on to that.
Yeah.
That's the thing, man. James Cameron. I guess I'm more disappointed that he's just decided to do this with his life now, because he made such amazing films for so long, and now he's the Avatar guy, and he produces bad Terminator movies and acts like they're going to be good, and then he like disowns them when nobody likes them. Anyway, but hey, I respect your opinion as a critic, Daryn. So, Way of Water, better than the first one.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you have it, y'all. That's been our level 33.1, new 52, number 4, whatever order I usually list those in. Been a lot of fun talking to all y'all about all these hypotheticals for the future of DC Comics, and then of course some Smallville talk as we do, sprinkling that in. So hopefully one day we really will get to talk about Smallville, the animated series. That'll just be another season of the podcast. So there we go. That'd be perfect timing though, right? If I finish season 10 and season 11, I can be like, oh hey, did you guys check out that? What if? Oh my god, what if it's like they drop it all in one night? What am I gonna do? Oh my gosh, I hope they drop it weekly. Listen to me. These are problems way down the road that I'm probably not even gonna have to. So good things to worry about. Are they going to drop Smallville, the animated series, in one night or weekly? Listen to me. Let's get a grip, man.
Well, and Rosenbaum and Welling are kind of opposites. You know, Welling's a big episodic catch one, and that was a good episode. And Rosenbaum's like, I want to be on the edge of my seat. I want to start the next one right away.
Oh man. Well, a lot of fun talking to you guys tonight on this one. Isaiah, if people want to find you online out there, where can they find you?
They can find me at Always Hold On to Heroes, hosting that with
there you go.
Zach. Yeah.
Shoot your shot, mate. What are you, The Rock over here? Like, oh yeah, man. The biggest power in the universe has been on the sidelines for too long.
The hierarchy of the DC universe is about to change.
That's right. All right, what about you, Joy?
You can find me here on the network co-hosting Always Hold On to Star Wars with Chris Fuchs and Cavante Chillis. And you can find me on Twitter and Letterboxd and anywhere else at JoeyD94_13.
And you recently showed me that Smallville is on Letterboxd now for some reason.
I think it's just the pilot. I think
so strange.
But I'm treating it as the entire series.
Same thing with Lois and Clark. It's just the pilot, right? That's what they need to do is just make TV box or something. It's just make 4x3 box or whatever, right? You make TV shows and you keep because we talk about the Star Wars list all the time. It's like, well, Obi-Wan's on here, but the Mandalorian's not. So it really whacks out the list. And people are like, why didn't you put Andor on there? I'm like, well, it's not on there. Anyway. Yeah. The struggle is real, my friends.
Oh, I need to rank everything.
Everything must be ranked and filed. What about you, Daryn?
I agree. But also you can the best place you can find me is probably on Twitter at Daryn_Kirscht.
All right. And Destroying the Snyderverse at the Snyderverse Saga.
Yes, I wrote a book called The Snyderverse Saga, which covers the entirety of the Zack Snyder DC movies and that universe as a whole, and kind of concludes with Zack Snyder's Justice League's release, which I don't even know if they ever released the numbers for that, but it's cool. Whatever.
# release the Snyder Cut numbers is what we do.
Yeah, right.
Maybe Max will release them, Daryn. Maybe when Max is in charge.
Max Shrek.
What a terrible name.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
I was talking mess about Shazam 2 inventing a villain like 2 hours ago, but Max Shrek is like one of the best Batman villains. So kind of
crazy.
Push out a high window.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right, y'all. Well, Always On to Smallville. Here we are. Thank you guys again for being patrons, and we're closing out 2022. We're getting the groove in these. You guys enjoying these video podcasts?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll keep doing it then, because you put your money where their mouth is, and here we are. We're gonna keep doing them this way. I think they're a fun, different flavor. I would never do the main podcast this way. I mean, you guys have most you have been on the main podcast and know kind of how that goes, and I would just. It's a whole different vibe with that. It's like this is this and this works for that. But people are like, oh man, you should do every podcast that way. They're pros. If I had a whole production team, sure, okay, but I'm not Talkville. Okay, I need your support on Patreon. We couldn't do this show without you. So thank you all very much. And Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, have a Happy New Year. We'll be back in 2023. But until then, all together now, always
hold on to
Smallville. If you're watching this and you're not a member of the Patreon and you would like to be part of these conversations, go to patreon.com/alwaysmallville with one S. As for the podcast itself, you can find us on Facebook at Always Hold On to Smallville, and you can find us on Twitter at alwaysmallville with one S, and you can send us an email at alwaysmallville@gmail.com, once again with one S. And I encourage you all to listen to our flagship show, Always Hold On to Smallville. Our first spinoff, Always Hold On to Arrow. Our next spinoff, Always Hold On to Savannah Lois. And then, of course, always hold on to Star Wars. So we have our always hold on to family of podcasts. We have going here, the ever expanding multiverse of our podcasts. And so if you like the conversation here, check us out, podcast form over there. No video for those. That's a whole nother format and venue we have going on over there. So there you have it. And we'll see you guys next time. And until then, always hold on to Smallville.